All right, welcome back, Realty Pros. Welcome to the first Porterhouse Realty Talks in 2021. And today we're going to continue with our conversation surrounding our business planning. Today we're going to dive more deeply into time blocking and pulling out that valuable time that you have that could seem to be hidden based on everything else that's going on in the world. We know that with the year that we just faced, 2020, there were so many different challenges that we didn't anticipate in January of 2020. So what we want to do is we want to automate our businesses such that no matter what comes up, we've already defined time that we're going to specify to work on our real estate business and automate some systems so that when things do come up, our business is automated and we're still generating those leads and we still have that specified time to devote to aspiring to our dreams for 2021. All right. Does anybody want to share what their goals are for 2021? I know that each of us has been tasked with doing a business plan, and I know that a couple people still need a little bit more assistance, and that's totally fine. But if there's anybody that's gotten a chance to work through your business plan, does anybody want to share their goals for 2021? If so, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, Jasmine, this is Aurelia. I'm working through my plan now, but one of the main things is, like I said, I have to do a lot of the CE training for these licenses. But my main focus this year is going to be prospecting and learning how to do that effectively with the different systems. I did invest in a lot of, like I do have Home Snap Pro, I have Home SAP, I have Rappel, which does a lot of things, and I have yet to get into the Constant Contact, so that I can start getting out and doing campaigning and different things. But that's where I need the help the most, because I know that once I get that together, as far as going out there prospecting and doing it effectively, so that I'm not wasting time, and I am going to start coming into the office. That's one thing. I set my schedule today because I want to start coming in every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday starting next week, so that I can at least be there Thursday for the training and any other things. Just coming into the office was very helpful last year, because that's where I got one of my buyers and the renter that I helped, just by coming into the office and just kind of being in the environment to get things done. So that's one of my goals this year, is to really ramp up on this prospecting and learning how to do it effectively. And of course, I'm going to need all the help that I can get. I know the sphere of influence is mainly, who you deal with in your everyday life. But I just want to get out there and start really being effective in that area. And that's my goal this year, because I know that once I get that down pat, then I'll be ready to go.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing, Aurelia. Would anybody else like to share their goal for 2021?
I do want to say happy birthday again, Miss Aurelia, and a wonderful getting your DC license. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to share their goal or one of their goals for 2021?
So this was Dee, and I actually just started. If you want to speak, you can. I just started thinking about my goals just today, so I don't have anything to share yet. But I've been working with Miss Pat on mine. So waiting for somebody, just filling some space, waiting for somebody else to say something about what they've been working on. So I will continue to be working on mine. I'm sure I'll have something ready for the next talk.
Well, no worries, guys. We totally understand that we just came out of a holiday season, which is why, of course, the last 2 weeks of December are usually a wash, in that people are with family and have quite a great deal of things going on around that time. So if you got a chance to do your business plan, then that's great. If not, then let's buckle down and get it done now, since we are in the first week, and today concludes the very first week of January, as today is January the 7th. So now it's time to, if if we can, just, dust the holidays off the brain as much as possible, and let's get this show started. With regards to timing, it is most important that we identify the time that we're going to use to work on our real estate business. Because as much as we want to delve into prospecting, and as much as we want to delve into the various marketing opportunities that we have, the thing that most agents suffer from is identifying the time that they have to work on that real estate business. So you will hear me say quite a bit time blocking. You will hear me say being specific with identifying specifically what slot of time you're going to devote to your real estate business, because from there, then we can fill it in with those appropriate activities. So thank you for those that have had a chance to share thus far. As we continue throughout our discussion today, if you have anything that you'd like to share or impart, by all means, you're welcome to. You can go ahead and unmute yourself. But I just want to share with you guys with regards to what Mr. Porter and I have done and what we did before we were brokers and when we were agents such as yourselves. It was crucial in the very beginning of the year. Technically, we did it at the end of the prior year, but to have established, at least in that first month, exactly what vacation time you're going to take off. And we encourage you guys to take at least 4 weeks. So if you take 4 weeks of vacation per year, whether you're in the States or whether you're at home relaxing on your couch, whatever it is that you're going to do, we encourage you to go ahead and set 1 week per quarter where it's just time for you to take vacation, relax, wind down, spend time with family. And although that seems like it can be counterproductive to your production, it's actually the opposite. It's hugely helpful. It really helps with complacency. Because one of the things that happens is when we're looking at goals and we're looking at time blocking, sometimes, you can get a little bit overwhelmed and you'll say, well, what time do I actually have to wind down? But actually carving out that time in advance will allow you to focus and remain focused on the other blocks of time that you deem necessary for your real estate business. So let's just talk about that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen with you. But while I am sharing my screen, I want you to know that your time block is going to look very different. And that's based on your lifestyle. So whether you're dual career, whether you're full-time, whatever that looks like, you've got to establish that time for yourself. So if we look at this chart here, Curtis mentioned one of the planners that he bought, and I noticed that several of you have bought them as well, and that's excellent. Because whether you prefer to do your schedule digitally, or if you're like me and you actually need to write it down, do whatever works well for you, but you want to specify that time. Okay, this one here starts at 8:30 a.m., but I know that many of you have schedules that start well before that time, and whatever works for you. The most important thing is that you identify the time that you're going to be working on your real estate business. Okay, so this particular time block here, this is for a full-time agent, and the second one below may be for a dual career agent, or however you need to block your time. What you want to do is establish before we even get to the day by day. So this one may be a little bit more advanced than where some of you are if you haven't gotten through your business plan as of yet. But let's go down to another page where it's not filled in. Okay, so if this is an example of a Monday, all right, if you have every Monday, say by chance you have your child from 6 until 10, or whatever time you have your child from, you're going to set that as off limits. So from 4:30 to 7:30, that's already time blocked. So the first thing that you do in this is you establish your negotiable versus non-negotiable time. Carve out those things that are already allotted for, so that you can then begin to see clearly the time that you do have. So let's say if give me something that you guys do, you can just jump on in. And if you say, I already have a routine for 7:30 in the morning, somebody go ahead and give me what your routine is from 7:30 until 8:30.
7:30 until 8:30. I actually have a book club with my pastor.
Okay. If anybody else has something that's already predefined on an ongoing recurring basis.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, does anybody have anything from 8:30 to 9:30 on a recurring basis?
Exercise.
Okay. All right, anybody else have anything from 11:30 until 12:30? All right, does anybody else have anything from 12:30 until 3:30?
Follow up.
All right, what about from 3:30 to 4:30? All right, how about from 7:30 until 8:30?
Dinner.
All right. All right, so what we've done is we've identified non-negotiable time blocks. And that's your goal. You want to do that first when you're looking at your week at a glance, your month at a glance, and your day at a glance. You're going to look at the things that you already have predefined so you can go ahead and carve out the time needed for those. But in doing so, what we've done is we've actually uncovered blocks of time that we have available. So if you see here from 9:30 until 12:30, that's a 3-hour time slot that we have available. And then from 3:30 until 4:30, that's a 1-hour time block that we have available. So this is how you identify the time that you actually have for your real estate business, okay? You might say from 9:30 to 11:30 real estate, 11:30 to 12:30, you might have something different. And then from 3:30 to 4:30, you have your real estate there as well, okay? So you're not looking to take from your commitments that you already have. You're looking to make a commitment to your goals and your dreams for your real estate business. You're looking to write that plan and you're looking to make it clear. You're looking to make those goals SMART goals as we've talked about, and we're going to clearly define what those look like as it pertains to our business plan, okay? So I'm going to scroll down, find the page for those. I think we may have passed the page for it. So let me come on back up just a little bit. But for those of you who've gone through this before, you know exactly what your SMART goals are. Somebody tell me about those SMART goals and what that entails. And just in case you need a cheat, it's right in front of you.
Oh, specific, yes. Measurable, achievable, and then what is that?
Relevant.
Relevant, and then
And then
time-based.
time bound.
You got it. So what we're accomplishing by doing this time block, we're determining specifically what we're going to do. And we measure that by whether or not we get it done. Is it attainable? So if your goal is to prospect by calling 10 people from your cell phone every day, is that attainable? Yes, that's attainable. You can call 10 people a day. Whereas if you were to say call 10,000 people per day, you know, within 1 hour, that's something that wouldn't be attainable. So we want to make sure that the goals are things that we can actually accomplish here. So that's where your attainable piece comes into play. And then as it pertains to relevant, relevancy means, is it going to get you closer to your goal for 2021? And that's why we start out by establishing our goals, by doing our visualization exercise and seeing what it is that we'd like to accomplish in 2021 that we're believing for. And then we establish these monthly, weekly, and daily plans to make them relevant to that goal. And you know if it's relevant, if it's getting you closer to your goal. So let's just talk about, well, before I go on, your time bound piece. This is where you're slotting it or you're time blocking it into your calendar. You're making this time bound. You're saying, okay, between the hours of, I believe it was 9:30 and 11:30, I'm going to be working on my real estate business. That's just a foundation. because next we're going to come back and specify exactly what that needs to look like, exactly what things need to be done in that time period for the sake of making sure that you have maximum productivity. Because if you're saying I'm going to work on my real estate business and you kind of just lay there and think about your real estate business, it's not the same as identifying a specific action that you're going to take at that time and during that time block. Does anybody have any questions about that? All right. So an example of a SMART goal action plan, beneath you see physical goal. If one of your goals, because we've gone through on our business plans, there's 8 different sections and your business is one of those sections. That's what we're going to talk about most, but you will have 8 different goals that you have there. And this one pertains to your physical goal, the first one. All right. The second one is your business goal. So if your business income goal is to earn at least 100K in gross closed commission, then how do you make that goal SMART? And here's where we identify what that looks like. Calculating the number using the Make It Easy formula. And we've gone through that. We'll touch base on it again today. Set up and consistently maintain a contact database. And this is where we use our constant contact. And this is where you're going to house your book of business so that you know exactly who you're reaching out to, what you're sending to them, and you can actually go in and look at the metrics a little bit more thoroughly to see who's reviewed your campaign, who opened it, when they opened it, if they clicked on the link, and all of those things, so that you can keep an eye on your marketing and who it's reaching. All right. So then another aspect will be scheduling 1.5 to 2 hours of prospecting into your schedule each workday. And that is the most important thing that you can do. If you were to say, hey, if you were to just bottom line this, I'm a brand new agent, there's a lot to do. What specifically should I be doing if I don't know what to do just yet? Making calls, sending text messages, and connecting with your sphere of influence every single day. Okay. Your goal is to build your book of business, and your first members or the first participants in that book of business, that's going to be your sphere of influence. Those are the people who already know, like, and trust you. You've already had some type of relationship, whether it's a personal relationship, family, friend, church member, person that you see at the grocery store or hair salon, whatever that connection is, those are people that you already know. So again, we'll just reiterate, for all of the people we know, I'm sure that we actually don't have each and every person's contact number in our cell phones. So that's what your weekly homework assignment is to grow your book of business, because just because they're in your sphere of influence doesn't mean that they're a part of your book of business. They effectively become a part of your book of business when you get contact information from them and you add them to your constant contact campaign. Now they've just gone from a person that you simply know to being a part of your book of business. Okay. So when you're reaching out to people on a daily basis, you should be looking to grow, or your assignment is to consistently grow that book of business so that you expand the reach that you have when you're reaching out to people. All right. So then next, number 4, as we see, scheduled training to improve my listing presentation, and so forth and so on. And all of these things are SMART goals up under the income goal to earn 100K in sales. Does anybody have any questions about that thus far?
Excuse me, Jasmine. This is Rhonda. I apologize. I don't have a question about that, but I did want to thank everyone for their congratulations. I was having computer issues at the time. So thank you, everyone.
You are very welcome. Does anybody else have any questions or anything that works well for them when establishing SMART goals?
Miss Jasmine, I do have a question that maybe someone in the group might have some suggestions about. I find I find that a lot of my clientele is available in the evenings, but I also find that the evenings are generally when I have family obligations, and I'm constantly working on how to juggle that. How how do I make that work? Does anybody have suggestions about how they make that work, especially your dual career folks? How do you make that work?
Well, I haven't figured it out yet because I just started 2 months ago. I'm actually juggling with it myself. So I actually have the same question.
Well,
I'm happy to hear this question. Before I answer, I'm gonna pause and see what if anybody else has anything they'd like to add.
well, I would say that it's really, you know, I've been dual careered, or I don't know. I don't even like to say dual careered. I've always been a real estate agent full time as soon as I got my license. It's just the amount of volume of sales and deals. So what is full time? What is part time? Like I was full time out the gate. I just didn't have nothing going on. But I used to coach classes, so I would actually coach strength conditioning classes at 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. So I guess whenever the phone call can come in, you just you get to that call. I don't think that, you have to have a evening time slot set aside just to, talk to your sphere of influence. If it is a hot lead, if it's somebody that is looking to buy, they're looking to sell, I mean, you need to kind of drop whatever you're doing and get on your phone, whether it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon or if it's, 8 p.m. at night. If you want to get that transaction, you want to get that client, don't look at it as just because, your sphere might be more accessible in the evening. Like think of it really like I'm accessible from 9 a.m. until about 9 p.m. Now, I may not be able to call back as quickly as I might like to. I may not be able to answer the call, but with technology, we can text, you can just make yourself available. The more, just like when we have a listing, the more people that can come through that door to look at the property, the higher, the higher rate of return of like somebody actually putting in an offer. The same thing with you and being accessible, or you being able to reach out and touch somebody. It don't overcomplicate it either, but make yourself available. Like call them back. You can call when you got something going on or text when you got something going on. Like, I don't know, just make yourself as available as you possibly can. If that helps anything.
Ms. Porter?
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to just kind of piggyback on what Curtis just said. And one of the things that worked for me, sometimes what you can do is if you can't speak with your clientele, in the evenings or whatever, maybe you can pick one evening that you can just put everything to and just start in the evening and just run it until as much as you can in just one evening. The other thing that I have found is you can be what's called a weekend warrior, where you can just, from Friday evening, maybe tell the family or whatever your things are, set your schedule where, okay, from Friday evening, Saturday during the day, Saturday evening, maybe Sunday, if you have some people that don't have a problem with you talking to them, maybe Sunday after church or whatever, and you can pump all of the people that you need to see during that period of time. That leaves you, of course, your Monday evening, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings free to do what you need to do family-wise, and then maybe take one evening during the week to really push hard in the evening for that, and then take the rest of the weekend and really kind of work the weekend really, really hard. I found that has worked for me.
Great input, guys. Does anybody else have anything that works for them? Well, thank you both for your input, because those are things that are really valuable. What I want to say is our perspective, I want us at this moment to have a shift in perspective to a glass half full versus a glass half empty perspective, because what you have in your hand currently is more than enough for you to do what you need to do in your real estate business. I'll give you an example. of our top, and Curtis will tell you, he said he wasn't dual career, he was full-time, and he was, but Curtis had multiple classes that he was doing on a daily basis as Mr. CrossFit Laurel. So Curtis might be doing 3 or 4 different classes, and he's working and he's at the gym, and in between classes he's working his real estate business. So that's an example of a dual career agent who's using the time that they do have. The point of the exercise that we did was to identify the time that you already have carved out for family time, because that's very important. So whatever your calendar looks like, you're going to fill that in. So if that's your 7:30 to 8:30 or whatever the case is, that's your family time. You've already designated that that time is family time. So now what are you going to do with the time that you have? If you have 9:30 to 12:30 and that's your time for real estate, let me ask you, in Constant Contact, is that something that can go out while you're sitting and having dinner with your family? Or is that something that can go out while you're working? Or something that can go out while you're sleeping? Or something that can go out while you're on an appointment with another client? I think so. So that's one of the things that we can do. We can automate that, okay? That being said, if your availability is from 9:30 until 12:30, you make all of your calls and you send all of your text messages during that time. And whether your clients or your sphere of influence, if they're able to answer or respond at that time, it's not a problem whatsoever because you've made the call. And now you're on their hearts for them to call you back because you've made the call to them. And now guess who they're thinking about when they get home? Oh, I need to call, Paula back. I need to call Aurelia back. I need to follow up with this person. So whether they get a chance to do it, on their lunch break that evening, the next day, 2 days later, you have effectively called and made an impression on them. And now you're on their mind to call back. Do you think that's going to help them to think about you in real estate if you're calling them and you're leaving them a message and they know that you're a realtor?
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So whatever the obstacle is, there are certain things that are beyond your control and there are things that are very much in your control. Just like Curtis said, if they do call you back and you're having dinner or something like that, you can send them a quick text or you can excuse yourself and answer that call really quickly and say, hey, thanks so much for calling me back. I wanted to follow up with you, if you need help with anything in real estate or whatever the topic is that you've left a message regarding, you call them right back or send them a text message and let them know that you will get right back to them. But you want to make time to make your dreams a reality. Okay. You got into real estate for a very real reason. Each and every last one of us, we have a why. So every time you have an obstacle, you have to say, okay, well, what's the solution? All right, so let's look at the point in our business plan where we talk about potential challenges and solutions, because there are always going to be potential challenges. So we have to have the forethought to think of, okay, well, what are the solutions? How are we going to do it? Because I can guarantee you that what you currently have in your hand, meaning what you have available to contribute to your real estate business, is more than enough to seed into your real estate career. What do I mean by that? If you have 2 hours a day and you spend that 2 hours a day prospecting for business, I guarantee you that it's going to yield you clients. I guarantee that it's going to yield you settlements and it will yield you success if you use that 2 hours a day. Even if it's 1 hour a day, some of you are going to have a lot more time than others. Some you'll have 4, 6, 8 hours a day, depending on whether or not you're full time. Some of you might have 2 or 3 hours every other day. But whatever that time is, I guarantee you it's more than enough for you to meet your real estate goals. You just want to take that time and remain focused on what those activities are that are necessary within that time slot. Okay, so potential challenges and solutions. Let's just deal with that. And before we do that, I want to just ask some of you guys. We've thrown out a couple things. Curtis has given some great insight, and so has Kermon. You've heard from me. All right, I want you guys to think creatively. If you have somebody that's available in the evening and your call time is at afternoon, give me some other creative solutions to that.
Well, I mean, you could, so if they're available in the evening and you're only available during the day, I mean, you could set up a Zoom, maybe do a Zoom conference with them, you know, FaceTime them. I mean, do whatever you do whatever you got to do. Like, I mean, the technology is here. I mean, look at us, what we're doing right now, and some things too. It's look at baby steps. You might not have done you're not going to knock the whole goal out in one whale swoop. I always tell people when they're working out, you got to chop a tree down. It ain't one hit. You got to keep chopping away, So if you can get with them for 10 minutes, it's like what Jasmine is kind of saying is like, you're just staying on their mind. I am your agent, whether you buy or sell today or a year from now, Curtis is going to be your agent, so just because you reach out or left them a message today and they didn't call back doesn't mean that they didn't get the message, so I mean, use the technology. We all got a supercomputer in our hands, with our phones, like, automate, use the technology, do a Zoom call.
Yeah, those are good. So what I was hearing from Curtis and Carmen was that what I was doing was fine. So one of the things that I've started doing, because I can't always catch people where they are, is that once I make it my business to get their telephone number and their email address. And once I have their email address, if I can get a few minutes with them to find out what they might be looking for, I will send them either a CMA if they're listing, if they're listing, so that I will send them closed properties if they're listing and open properties if they're buying. So basically I send them information from the MLS about properties that are similar to theirs or similar to what they want to buy or what they want to list, so that they know what the market is like. And that keeps my name in front of them, because that kind of thing is always happening. So that's one of the things that I've gotten into the habit of doing. The other thing is, like they were saying, I send a text or I send an email and try to get a few minutes in front of them to see when we might be able to find a time that's workable for both of us, even though we're at opposite points as far as, a meeting time. And so it's either a Zoom or a phone call, and we always figure out which one that is, a Zoom or, some kind of face-to-face or a phone call, some kind of virtual face-to-face or a phone call at this point.
That's good insight too, guys. Just be encouraged that the time that you have to devote to your real estate business is what you're going to pull out of your schedule, and whatever that is, just remain focused on your real estate business and you will see growth and you will see success. It's just a matter of being diligent and being consistent. Okay. So that being said, you see, as one of the challenges there, if the schedule is overwhelming, then remain flexible. You can see that there. And I want to say that's challenge number 5 there. Remain flexible. If you have to rework or reorganize your schedule, you might have, your business plan done and you say, well, this is what my schedule is going to look like for the month of January. As you work that plan, you remain focused on the goal and you remain committed to the goal, but the schedule might change and it might adapt, and that's totally fine, because you're going to be working it to see what works well for you, what works well for your family, and everything else that's in your life. So that's going to require a little bit of tinkering, and you want to be just fine with that. Okay, you might start out with availability from 7:30 to 9:30 in the evening, and as you progress in the month, you may realize that your availability is better suited from 5 to 7. Or you may find that it's better suited from, 8 until 10 in the morning. But whatever that looks like for you, you remain focused on the goal and allow these things to remain flexible, because your time block, if by chance, again, I'll just reiterate this because I want to make sure that we are giving ourselves the grace that we need to focus on being productive and not being rigid to, just a set of rules without being productive in that space. So again, remain focused and committed on the goal. So if you have, you know, you said I was going to do this from 7:30 to 9:30. I didn't get it done. Now it's 10:30. I can't do it for the day. That's not what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, I had another time block that was from 5:30 in the evening to 7:30. Although I didn't get it done from 7:30 and 9:30 in the morning, I'm going to shift it down to this time block. And now no matter what happens, I'm going to make sure that I accomplish that goal before today ends. And now you've checked it off of your list. Okay. So you're going to remain accountable to getting that thing completed, no matter where it fits there. Time block for the sake of you being consistent, but if it doesn't happen, do not, you know, just junk the whole plan and say this thing doesn't work for me. Does anybody have any questions about that?
I think that's something good to do too. Like if I don't do what I said I was going to do on in my journal or on my calendar, I'll make a note of it like that night or the next day. You know, so I'll just move that task or move that thing that I didn't get to. It's no biggie. I'm not going to beat myself up about it, but okay, I didn't do it today. So let me go ahead and slide it on over for the next day. Or I know the next day might really be jammed. So let me slide it over for 2 days later. But I know I still got to do it. You know, it just didn't happen, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to make it happen. You know, so you got to be, you know, flexibility.
Absolutely. Okay. So we said something else earlier that's hugely important too. When you make a call, you say you leave a voicemail, you send a text message, you send an email, you've made an impression on that buyer or seller client or whomever it is in your book of business that you're looking to reach. You've made an impression on them. And you know, we've talked about before with 36 impressions on a yearly basis, 33 of those we like to automate, and as many, you know, direct conversations as possible that you include are going to be better because now they're thinking about you. Okay. And you and I both know how it is if someone gives us a call and our schedule may be, you know, so busy that you don't get a chance to get back to them for a week. How many times during the course of that week is that thought plaguing you? Oh my gosh, I got to get back to so-and-so. Oh my goodness, I need to call them. Another day went by, I didn't get a chance to get back to them. I'm going to have to give them a call. Has anybody had that experience?
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what does it do? Does it make you think about that person more, or does it make you think about that person less?
Right. More.
More.
It makes
Much
you think
more.
about that person much more.
Much
So
more.
it's totally fine if that's something that, you know, you give them a call during your space of time that you have available, and now they have to get back with you because now the ball is in their court. And if you're consistent and you diligently follow up with them until you reach them, now you're on their minds constantly. Okay. So that's one thing. And I feel like we've dealt with that enough. So I'll continue. So as it pertains to receiving calls back from leads and buyer clients, seller clients that actually want to work with you. If your whole goal in real estate is to close a certain number of transactions, to aspire to a certain level, to make a family, whether it be legacy or financial, contributions to your family. And in order to reach that goal, you're going to have to work these transactions and close them. If a person is calling you to do that, is it not worth you excusing yourself for a couple minutes?
Absolutely.
It's definitely worth it. Even
Absolutely.
if you have to say, good evening, such and such, thank you so much for getting back to me. Or you might say, good evening, this is Kermon McPayton of Porterhouse. I just wanted to follow up with you. I recognize that it's a little bit later in the evening. I just wanted to make an initial connection. Can we schedule a call for tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. so that we can talk about everything that you're looking for in a house? Yes. All right, well, let's talk tomorrow at 12:30. I'll send you a confirmation. That was a quick, not even 3-minute conversation, but you made that initial connection and now you've scheduled an appointment.
Got it.
Okay, so that's what you want to do. You want to make that initial connection as quickly as possible. If you can't answer, send them a quick text message and get right back to them, even if you don't have the full space of time to complete the full appointment. Okay, now as much as you can, be flexible so that you can complete the appointment. I just want to give us various ways to look at this thing so that you can see that there are more opportunities there. Where there's a will, there's a way. And that's as it pertains to everything that we aspire to do. All right, does anybody have any questions or comments in that area before we move on?
I'd like to just say real quick that what Dee is doing with the, looking at sending the potential buyer or seller a CMA, so that, they can get some information from her. I don't know if that's set up as a kind of daily thing, or if it is a one-time, you sent them the CMA. Because if it is kind of a one-time thing, what I would recommend is, instead of sending that potential buyer a CMA, just to actually set them up on the property.
Auto email. That I didn't explain it all the way through, but I set up auto emails for them. And so, and I was so grateful that Jasmine took the time to walk me through that. But so I set up auto emails. Once I know what they're looking for with the buyer, if they're looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, what do you call it, townhouse in the $250,000 to $275,000 range, that's what I put in when I go into the search bar in MLS. And then I've set up an auto email for that particular client with that information, and that goes to them either once a week or daily or as soon as possible, depending on how interested the client appears, the prospective client appears to be in getting that kind of information. For the folks, I said CMA, I do the CMA if I actually get what you call it with you, buyer's contract. Oh, geez. The wording escapes me at the moment. My brain keeps going in different directions. But anyway, so I do the CMA after I have an agreement with you. But if I haven't had an agreement with you, then what I send you is information on homes that are selling in your area or that have closed in your area that are similar to yours, so that you can see what the market is like. And I will send an additional email to explain that that's what this is for, and that the auto email goes out again as often as it seems to make sense for that particular prospective client, which includes my name and contact information every time it comes to them. So that stays in front of them with what they're looking for and somebody who's trying to get them the information that they want. And that's what I've started doing based on conversations I've had with people who say, well, I'm not ready yet. Or they completely ghost me, or whatever it is. And I revisit that auto email on a regular basis, because that also reminds me that these people are folks that I have talked to. So, when I look at the beginning of the week, I can say, well, I think it might be time to get back to them because I haven't talked to them in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, 2 months. And depending on what I recall about the conversation when I talked with them, that will be how quickly I get back in touch. But either way, sending that auto email reminds me that these are people that I have expressed an interest in buying or selling a property. And it also means that they constantly see my name in front of them.
Well, that's good information, and it is really good to utilize the resources that you're paying for. If you got to pay for Bright anyway, you may as well make the most use of it. Okay.
Exactly.
So if we can just make this as simple as possible for you guys, there's time that you have available, pull out that time. The most important thing that you can be doing during that time is prospecting for business. There are so many different marketing avenues. I do not want you to get lost in a web of marketing activities. We will add something to it once you've perfected this foundational piece. The goal for every realtor is to build a book of business that gives you a referral-based business, okay? So the things that we're talking about, these are your foundational things. These are things that are going to establish you as a referral agent to where the people that know you are going to automatically start sending you business while you're asleep, while you're away, while you're with another client, whatever the case is. They're going to think about you because you've reached out to them. So those activities that you need to just slot in your daily base on your daily calendar needs to be calling, texting, adding people to constant contact. So if every single day you're calling 10 people from your sphere of influence, every day you're texting. So whether you choose to call or text them, as long as you're reaching 10 people per day, I'm fine with that. Calling is best, texting is second best. And then you're going to add those people's information to constant contact that you're gathering on a weekly basis, guys. This is the single most important thing that you can do as a realtor. You have to be a professional prospector. Okay, so your goal is to get the lowest hanging fruit first, because you're establishing a foundation and you're establishing a baseline. You're establishing a referral based business by reaching out to your sphere of influence on a daily basis and by building your book of business on a daily basis. Okay, that being said, we can go into any marketing activity, and there are quite a number of marketing activities, but it will not benefit you the same if you do not have the foundational principles intact. So that's where we're coming from, and that's what we're going to focus on for this space and time. Okay, we want for everybody to establish their businesses so that it can weather whatever the market looks like. And we're in an incredible market. This market is amazing, but you want to establish yourself as a successful long-term realtor, not somebody that just has to be dependent upon how well one of, the marketing activities work. You will build a referral-based business with a network. And you and I both know that, person-to-person communication has been the go-to for marketing for generations. So people, this adage that if you tell somebody, if you do well by somebody, they might tell one person, but if you get people that are champions because you've shown them that you're going to provide good customer service, we just adore the people that'll tell everybody they know. All right. So reach out to people, guys. It is an amazing season to do so. Check on people and let them know that you can help them in real estate. That is the single most important thing that you can do. Afterwards, we'll talk about follow-up, because if there are two things only, if there's one thing that you can do on a daily basis, it needs to be prospecting by reaching out. If there are two things that you're able to do, that needs to be follow-up, okay? And we'll go through that list as we progress. But those are the main things, the single focus for our Realty Talk today. Does anybody have any questions as it pertains to that? Any comments or anything that they'd like to add?
Jasmine, I just want to comment that that's the very area that I want to focus on this year, because I know the importance of doing that to build the business. So thank you for the conversations that's going forward.
You got it. We're building a business, guys. You're not just looking to do a transaction. You're building a referral-based business. And the people that are within your network, those are the people that are going to send you referrals that you don't have to pay for. Okay, there are lots of marketing activities that we can do, and there are lots of things that you can spend money on, and those things are productive. But in terms of your overall return on your return on your investment of your capital as well as your time, it is most lucrative for you to reach out to your sphere of influence and build that book of business so that you have a referral-based business, because referrals don't cost you anything except a settlement gift for your buyer and maybe a thank you gift for the person that referred you to them. All right. So that is what I wanted to have us to talk about today. And I want to make sure that everybody goes away encouraged and empowered to do so. And if you have any concerns with anything or any comments that you'd like to say, go ahead and share those so that we can begin to close out for today. All right, so let me ask this. Does anybody have any success stories from their sphere of influence? Or adding people to their book of business?
I can speak to two that happened just yesterday, actually. I've been talking with my cousin since, well, probably for a few years now. She's been trying to figure out whether or not she wanted to move from an apartment to a house. And, we've been talking off and on for a few years. And she's been listening to all the different things that I've been doing in real estate for the last several years. But last night, the night before last, I should say, she called and she said, I'm really serious about this thing. Can you help me? And I was like, well, sure. What do you want to do? So we're now actually actively working to get something done. And I will be able to set up a referral with her. I'm sending her lender information today. And we will be able to set up a referral for the place that she wants to move, which is somewhere in South Carolina within the next several weeks. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then one of the listings I had last year brought me a buyer for the seller, which didn't work, but the buyer has come back to me. So I was representing the seller, but the buyer has come back to me and asked me if I would represent them. And well, they said that that's what they wanted, but we're in negotiations now to see if we can get a buyer's agreement set up. So, but the fact is that they came back and I was like, wait, I was representing the listing. Why are you coming to me? So, well, I really just wanted to work with you. I'm like, okay, well, let's see if we can actually get this to, let's do the correct formality so that we can get this actually going, as opposed to you coming to me with, I have an offer and I want you to, just present that to the seller. I'm like, well, if you want me to represent you, we need to do a buyer's agreement. So we'll work through that and see how it goes. But people just keep coming back, which is sometimes a real surprise to me. It seems like they just drop out of the sky. But and then, like I say, they come and go. So this is something that I am learning over time, that when folks think they're ready, then you start talking to them, they find out they're not ready, then they drop off the face of the earth, but they do come back. So you just really need to keep the channels of communication open. If you do well by them, they will come back.
That was a great comment. Thank you, Dee, for sharing that. Does anybody else have any questions about anything that we've covered today before we end? Or does anybody else have anything that they'd like to share briefly before we close out? If not, you guys have been wonderful. Thank you for carving out time in your schedule today to participate. We're going to make sure that this video is available to you. We will be having our new agent training tonight, and that's going to be a virtual only training. With everything going on and the uptick in cases, we're going to go back to the virtual only platform instead of our hybrid platform just for now until things start to settle down again. So tonight will be week 3 of your new agent training, and that's going to be working with buyers. So 7 p.m. you'll have the link and everything that you need. You guys should be getting notifications. And for those of you that are new agents who will be participating in that training, we'll see you tonight at 7 o'clock. Everybody else, you have a productive rest of the day. Happy New Year. Continue in those business plans. Do the visualization exercise and write out what your goals are for the year. I'll tell you one thing, if you write a goal, it's definitely going to make you much more it's going to make you much more attentive to that goal, if nothing else. So it's going to help you to aspire to exactly what you said, and we'll go through what those activities need to be as we progress weekly. So if anybody needs anything, I'm in the office. Mr. Porter will be in the office as well. We have weekly hours on a modified schedule, but we're available in case you guys need anything. Have an amazing, productive rest of the day. All right, guys. And we're going to go ahead and conclude today's meeting.
Jasmine,
Yes.
I just wanted to ask a quick question. Is the office still open to come in, or have you all limited that because of the COVID?
No, it's absolutely open. So we're open, and we've been open since I want to say June or so.
That's
So
what
you
I
guys
thought.
can come in at any time. Now, as it pertains to clients, it has to be by appointment only. So we have to make sure that when you do come to the office, as much as we want to allow people and keep the door locked, because people can only come in if they have a scheduled appointment. Okay. And when
Okay.
we're in the office, of course, everybody, you have your masks, you have your hand sanitizer, and you socially distance, so that we're doing so responsibly. But your office is absolutely open.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You guys have an amazing rest of the day.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
You too. Have a good day, everyone.
Everybody.
Okay.
Bye.